after I'd been doing the Cannabis Cup for 10 years, we've been through 10 ceremonies, and the blueprint for this improvisational ceremony, because I didn't believe in writing things down or running off scripts or imitating any other previous culture. I wanted everything to just come off naturally, unfold. It was, incredibly successful. And I had gone to a rainbow family gathering, which was something that happened in Oregon, outside Portland, Oregon, in 1970, the year after Woodstock. Well, I should say I went to the Woodstock Festival, and I got touched by the vibe. Because before then, I was a real cynical kid. I was like a punk, juvenile delinquent kind of character. Didn't really respect much. And to me, hippies were something that was kind of an invention. You know what I mean? It's like we were more like juvenile delinquents than hippies. I just didn't, the hippie thing, I didn't identify myself as a hippie until Woodstock. Because when like 400,000 people got together and everybody was friendly and everybody shared everything and took care of each other, and there was some little static here and there, but it was so overwhelmed by this energy, this positive vibration, that you, once you stepped into it, it just overwhelmed you. It was like, you know, a violent mob carries its own center of energy that's a shared group mind. So if people will do things they would never do in real life because they're in this mob mentality. Well, these ceremonies are the same exact thing. When you have a ceremony and it's devoted to peace, and people are trying to, amplify that. It was called the love generation because we were trying to amplify empathy with each other. It wasn't because we were trying to fuck each other. Although we liked, you know, we were attracted to people. We didn't want to be in massive orgies where everybody's fucking. We wanted, everybody to love each other wholesomely and share that energy because it made us feel better. And when you learn the tools of amplifying love energy, you can find that you can do it with people very easily because people will naturally fall into it. And unless they're like really damaged people, this energy really can enter people and change their behaviors and stuff. So my behavior changed after Woodstock. I really felt like my generation was doing something really important to end war. And but after 10 years of the Cannabis Cup, this incredible, successful, financially successful, everything success, publicity successful, content wise successful. It done wonders for the magazine to elevate it. But I was taken out to lunch by the owners of High Times, the lawyer and his wife, and they gave me the bad news. They were killing the Cannabis Cup. It's taken up too much of your time, and it really doesn't make any money. It's negligible, and we don't want to put money into it anymore. So they weren't really putting money into it. I was selling tickets and then using the advanced sales to pay whatever I had to pay to get the event off the ground. It never lost money. But my plans, the ceremonies just kept getting more grandiose. Everything was more people, more celebrities, more money being spent. But we were making money to cover it. To me, everything was fine. But to them, no, this must stop now. So, I mean, this is kind of like the most important thing in my life at the moment. So I had to think how to like, you know, how am I going to save my baby? So what I did was I told him, well, if it's about money, I can do a marijuana event in the United States. Let me do it for 5 years, and in 5 years, it'll be as big as Woodstock. It'll be making millions of dollars a year. But I got to do it for 5 years before it'll happen that big. But it'll. I started the Cannabis Cup with 7 people. Okay, now we got 3,000, and they're paying money to attend. It's not a free thing. But if you let me do an event in the United States, 300,000 people in 5 years will be there. So I kind of got him, and then I said, as far as the cannabis goes, you don't have to put another dime into it. I will license it to an event producer. They'll put it on. They'll run it, and they'll pay you $100,000 a year to do that. This is just stuff I was making up off the top of my head, but I knew that the guy who was doing the travel packages for me, a guy named Mike Esterson, he wanted to take over the event. He wanted to book the acts. He was into music and into being a promoter, and so I knew he could handle it fine, and I knew I could talk him into letting me run the ceremonies, and he would pay my video crew out. The Temple Dragons would be paid out if the event made money. They'd show up for free. They'd run security. They'd run all the cameras. They shoot HBO quality, on all the bands on the stages, like 4 camera shoots. Everything would be live mixed. It could be fed direct to the internet, and we did. Like, I think the second or third year, fourth year, I actually had a live feed on the internet of the bands playing, and these were big bands. We paid money, Mike paid money for bands like Galactic from New Orleans and Patti Smith and oh, I don't know. It's just so there's 100 famous bands, mostly bands that were connected with weed in some way, and they were all like overjoyed to play the Cannabis Cup. And it wasn't just that they were overjoyed; it's that the ceremony inspired these people, and they did the best shows of their life. And we had video to prove this. The reason I was shooting video of all the ceremonies was because I wanted proof of what we were doing, because I wanted to take it to the Supreme Court and say, we have a religious right to cannabis. This is a culture. It's been going on for a long time. It's like we don't have a Bible because we don't believe in following a book. We believe the Bible is in our hearts, and we go out and do our ceremonies, and it's improvisational. And it's very spiritual, and I have the evidence to prove it. And I can show you how this thing's been going on for 6,000 years. And by the way, the owner, the guy who's running High Times, he's an expert in constitutional law who's conducted a sort of a war with the CIA in cases involving the CIA. He was like Timothy Leary's lawyer until Timothy Leary got arrested after the Weather Underground broke him out of jail. And so he flipped. He said, I'll tell you everything about the Weather Underground. What do you want to know? And because these people, these terrorists, domestic terrorists, these bombers were running around, setting off bombs and shit. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Just let me out of jail. Okay. So he tells them everything. The most important thing he tells them is, hey, the leader is a guy named Michael Kennedy. He became my lawyer for a while. He's the one who set up the prison break for me. And it's a funny thing, nothing happened to the Weather Underground. Nothing happened to Michael Kennedy. So when I first took over High Times and it turned around from this sleazy, ridiculous rag to suddenly the cutting edge of so much stuff that's going on in culture and promoting hemp and medical marijuana and all this stuff. And it was a miracle turnaround from a magazine that was losing money to almost instantly the biggest success story, the hottest selling title at Tower Records. The magazine that's on the desk at Vanity Fair and every other cultural magazine in New York is reading my magazine because it's being like plastered in the best spot on all the newsstands in New York City because it's selling like hotcakes. And I was like forbidden to ever talk to the printer or the distributor. The owners didn't want me to meet. These people knew what I had done. They were like, we really want to meet Steve Hager. Look what he's done. No, anybody but Hager will be at your party. They wouldn't say that, but that was what they did. They basically cockblocked me from meeting the people in the publishing industry that could have offered a door for me to start my own magazine.